time for Borge, because it is now 14 minutes to 8 in the morning. Not that that matters to you if you're listening to us on the podcast, but that's usually when George joins us. And here he is. Hey, George, what's happening? What is going on? There's always something interesting going on in the background on these calls we do with you. Where are you now?
I'm in my garage. Car's charging. There it is.
Wow, what a garage. I mean, you see, if I had to broadcast from my garage, it looks like absolute shit compared to yours. It looks so tidy and organized.
Well, I had to make it tidy because sometimes there's interesting cars parked in here.
Damn right. So what is that plugged in now? What do you got there?
This is my iPace. Let me move that way.
Oh, nice.
And it's busy charging. It's on about 60% charge. Probably get it to about 80, 90%. It's busy charging from the solar panels up on the roof. So, in that way, you don't have to pay for fuel.
Well, we got a couple of people who've got questions for you, George. So we'll get to those just now. But tell us what you have for us first.
Okay. So have you ever pitched up at a parking lot, wherever, and somebody is parked over 2 bays?
Often.
Yeah.
Basically, a poople is what you call him.
Yeah, I mean, let's be fair though. There are some places, some shops, or parking lots or whatever, where they make them very, very small. There's some that are extremely tiny, and then there are those ones that are very big. But there are assholes who park across 2 bays. Yes,
but also it can happen to you as like secondary smoke, where somebody else is parked like that, and you're forced to park that way. Then you look like the arsehole when that person leaves.
Yep. Right.
That's also true. So this lady, and she had an apartment in America, obviously, and she rented this apartment with 2 bays, and she only had 1 car. Okay, so what do you do if you've got 2 bays and 1 car? And so other people would park in her bay. And she would leave sticky notes on the windscreen. She would say, please don't park in my bay. Sometimes get a little bit nastier. And then she decided, well, stuff that, she's just going to park across both of her own bays. Only to find that she got rude notes on her windscreen saying, don't park over 2 bays.
And it's hers. Okay, but this happens. I mean, we laugh about it, but this happens in Cape Town too, where parking is at a premium, right, George? And people are... they buy an apartment, but your parking could cost you more than your apartment.
Exactly.
In New York, there are very few people who can afford both the place that they live in and a parking space, which is why people prefer to use public transport so much of the time. And if you've bought 2, you park across the middle of both. It's yours. You paid for it.
I totally agree. But does that apply in parking lots? Let's say you drive into a parking lot and the parking lot is largely empty and you can park across 2 bays, would you?
No, you don't need to be an asshole.
You don't need to be an asshole. Yeah. So anyway, so this poor lady got a bunch of stickers on her windscreen saying, don't park like this. And she effectively left a note back on the note saying, I am the arsehole. I'm an arsehole for parking across my 2 paid bays.
Well, Sean has a suggestion. This is horrible, but carry cable ties in your car. If someone parks like a durs, tie a trolley or 2 to their car doors.
I love that.
People have got great ideas. That's so cool. All right.
People are creative, and then Gareth, if you couldn't transport your car somewhere, right, or you needed to transport your car somewhere for, and you had no other way, would you hire a truck to put or some kind of truck to put your car on in order to move it from one place to another?
This is a very complicated question. I've never had to encounter this problem before.
Well, if you look at the link I just sent you, you'll see that this guy hired a removal truck.
Oh wow!
And in hiring this removal truck, hired one that was wide enough but not long enough. So the state troopers pulled him over.
Yeah, I got to show people this picture. I've just got to put this up on the screen because this is easily one of the weirdest things. You can, if you close your eyes now and picture what a car inside a truck looks like, you have an idea of it, like Knight Rider, where he would park he'd park his car in the truck, right? But that's not what we
Yes.
have here. We have a U-Haul, which is like a little mini truck in America they use for moving things. And the car's half sticking out. Here's the picture. Take a look at this if you're on YouTube.
Oh.
You can see he's it's just basically up to the back. The front of the back wheel is in the U-Haul. The rest of it is hanging out of the back.
And the interesting thing about this particular maneuver was the only thing keeping that car inside the U-Haul was that single strap around the back of the bumper when the state troopers pulled him over.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, what else you got?
And then a question: can your electric vehicle, can this I-Pace power your house? It's been quite a topic of conversation, and at the moment there is only one car in production in the world that has what's called bidirectional charging, which means that you can use the plug to charge the car and you can use the plug to extract electricity. And VW are sporting an EV that can do that too.
I mean, this is the one country in the world that we would want that, right? Because you sometimes need power for your house when you have it in your car, and sometimes you want power for your car when you have it in your house, but you maybe not have both because of ESCOM.
Exactly. Cool. So if we did the maths a little bit, and we use this I-Pace as an example, right? This is a 90 kilowatt hour battery. I know because of the inverters I've got installed in the house how much electricity my house uses. And my house uses approximately, excluding the car, my house uses approximately 20 kilowatts a day. Okay, so 20 kilowatts a day it uses, which means that this car could power my house for approximately 4 to 5 days.
Wow.
That's we got to have a way. We got to be able to extract that value, man.
So I think, I mean, a thing of the future is to allow the cars to plug into the houses, and then there's creative things like selling the electricity back. But these cars can power a house for 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 days in most instances.
Jeez, it's like almost worth buying the car and then renting it out to people as like a generator during load shedding.
I can imagine people that are running out of power in their car because they plugged it into the house and the house is taking all the power. Then they can't go to the shops. Then they complain that their car has no power. So you never know.
You just never know. And then you get these driver assistance systems in cars called DAS systems, driver assistance systems, which keep you in your lane. You've probably driven a car that has lane keep assist on it. You've got cruise control that keeps the distance from the car in front of you, all called driver assistance systems. And they usually most of them are level 2 self-driving systems, which means that you can't take your hands off the steering, etc. Tesla's autopilot, as you know, is the best one in the world so far. So the AAA, the US Consumer and Travel Services Organization, did a test with a couple of cars. So what they did was they wanted to test these driver assistance systems, and they put the car onto the road, overtaking a dummy car traveling in the same direction as the test vehicle. Then they had one overtaking a dummy cyclist heading in the same direction. And then they did one with a dummy car.
I just want to correct you there. Every cyclist is a dummy.
No, Garreth, stop it. I knew you would do it.
You needed to say that. Sorry.
And then they did the same thing in the opposite direction. So head-on collision type stuff at 40 kilometers an hour. And in the tests, the cars all avoided the cyclist as well as the dummy cyclist and the dummy car going in the same direction, but crashed into the ones in the opposite direction. So the only car that braked for the dummy coming in the opposite direction was the Tesla Model 3. It braked down to a speed of about 5 k's an hour, but still crashed into the dummy car.
Sure. So there's still work to be done, basically.
Yeah.
There's still work to be done. Don't trust these self-driving systems entirely. You know, if you like this I-Pace, for instance, has lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control, which means that it keeps it in the lane, keeps the following distance on the highway from a car in front of you. And it brakes if the car in front of you brakes. But I've had instances where the car brakes too late. I'm quicker than the car. So you should never take your eyes off the road if you are driving with these systems.
We're still a way off of having this perfected. I mean, ultimately, once all the cars are electric, and I mean, this is a pipe dream, it's a bit utopian to think this way now. But then obviously the machines will see the machines and then it'll be safe. But at the moment, there's still too much room for human error. George, a couple of questions for you because we've got to wrap this up. So MM wants to know, George, you never mentioned that EVs should not be charged to 100% and the battery not be allowed to be depleted beyond 30%. That is to preserve battery life. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. However, like the iPace that's standing in my garage here, you don't really get access to the last 10% of the 90 kilowatt hour battery. So the car's software actually doesn't allow you to use the entire battery. And it doesn't allow you to deplete the battery to zero either. So a lot of EVs are built that way. Some EVs aren't. Some EVs allow you to access the entire battery. This iPace doesn't. So you're absolutely right. You shouldn't charge the battery consistently beyond 90%, and you shouldn't let the battery deplete. I would say 30% is probably the safe bet to preserve the life of your batteries. Lithium ion doesn't like being deep discharged.
That's interesting. They don't put that in the T's and C's very often. So it's good that we're having this conversation here because, we've got to refer to the good and the bad when it comes to these things. But Congo Chris wants to make an apology. I've done my homework on the SpaceX Tesla, and I mentioned that 2 weeks ago to you because I knew you would too. It's going to be an options package for the Plaid Roadster. It's being held up. So that was in respect of an argument that you and Congo Chris had a couple of weeks ago on the show. So he's just
it's not surprising. We're running out of batteries worldwide, and a lot of these cars are not coming into production. VW has sold out all of their EVs. So worldwide we are probably going to see a bit of an EV shortage. So I wouldn't be surprised if that option package doesn't come.
I love the idea that your car may be able to charge your house and vice versa. That's something I'd never thought of before, George, and I really think that could be a massive gap in the South African market. I mean, imagine your car does a better job than Eskom. One vehicle does a better job than a huge parastatal that's worth nothing but is in debt to billions. It's just unbelievable.
Well,
all right.
I mean, before we go, I only use 20% of this car's battery a day. No more than that.
But is this going to work and back, doing the shopping, that kind of thing?
Shopping, all of that stuff. You use no more than about 20% of it.
It does drive me a bit crazy, though, when my battery is, I love 100%. I'm very happy when my battery's at 100%. So I don't know if I'd be able to cope with that. All right. So we got to say our goodbyes. It's the end of the show. It's the end of the week. And by the time you blink, it'll be Monday again. But have a nice weekend. Keep warm this weekend. Any closing comments, George, Ben, Leanne, anything you want to throw in there that you haven't already?
No, but very nice to see Ben 2 times in a row.
I know.
Hey, George. Well,
he's
2.5. Yeah.
He's going to be around a lot more, whether you like it or not, George. We're all going to get used to each other. And by the way, no more mentions of Frank Herbert or whatever his name is, Ben. We're going to ban that. Otherwise,
why do you hate brilliance, Garreth? Why do you hate genius?
All right. Cheers, everybody. Have a happy weekend. We will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.